everything peels back to how you think. Everything goes back to your thoughts, and that's very good news. You know why? Because your thoughts are yours to change. If you woke up with that thought, it's hopeless, nothing ever works out, everything I touch turns to you know what, all my relationships go wrong, I never get promoted, in fact, I can't keep a job. How do you think you would feel if you thought that thought? Well, you'd feel terrible. You'd either feel angry or hopeless, more hopeless, or sad or depressed. You might have inertia. So you think a thought, and when you think a thought, you feel a feeling. People say, no, feelings come before thoughts. They actually don't. Apart from the feeling of falling backwards, in every other area, thought comes before the feeling. So you think a thought, then you feel a feeling. Now, the feeling you feel will dictate the way you behave. If I feel hopeless, I'm not going to see some hot guy and go, hey, you look cute. Do you want to have a coffee? I'm not going to go to someone and say, hey, would you employ me? I'm not going to go to people at work and say, do you want to come to my house? I'm having a barbecue. I can't take a risk because I've thought a thought. I'm hopeless. Nothing works out. I felt a feeling sad, depressed, angry, pointless, hopeless. And that feeling will dictate how I act, my actions, which are often no actions. I now have inertia. I'm scared of risk. It dictates how I behave. I don't do anything to get promoted. I've even stopped going on dating sites because I know I'm going to get ghosted. And now why am I sitting at home doing nothing? Well, because I've gone back to the thought, it's all hopeless. What's the point? So that's a negative loop. But imagine if you made it a positive loop. Hey, I have an ability to make things work out. I'm talented, I'm gifted, I'm nice, I'm warm, I'm a good person, I'm smart, and I've got this magic technique that makes things work in my favor. Now I've got a thought. How do you think you feel when you have that thought? Well, you feel excited, positive, confident, ready to take a risk. And because you think a better thought, you have to feel a better feeling. And now what kind of actions do you think you take when you think a better thought, feel a better feeling? You go, hey, you look cute. Who are you? There's something about, I'd love to talk to you. Hey, you know, I've been doing this job for 4 years. I've done some research. It's really time for promotion or a pay rise. You take risks because the only risk in life is not to take any risk at all. Every risk you take will teach you something. So better thoughts, better feelings, better actions, better behaviors. And people say, how do you do that? I go, well, I believe in myself. People say to me, how do you go on stage and speak to thousands of people? I go, well, I love it. The first time I went on stage, I was so nervous. My knees were knocking. I held onto that podium for dear life. Now I don't even have a podium. But my first thought was, what if I'm no good as a speaker? Which made me feel nervous, which made me cautious. I didn't want to walk away from my podium in case my hands were shaking. And when I changed that, I thought, I love speaking. It's an amazing thing to do. I felt excited, and that dictated my behavior and my action. So everything peels back to how you think. Everything goes back to your thoughts, and that's very good news. You know why? Because your thoughts are yours to change. So are your beliefs. So are your feelings. So are your behaviors. I'm going to show you today how to do that all the time. And so amazing. And when you do it enough, it stops being what you do and it becomes who you are. And then you will win at almost everything because it's who you are, not what you do. Over 33 years, I see clients. I'm going to give you an example. I worked with a lady called Diana, such a lovely lady. She's on one of my courses, and she was going through extreme grief. Her husband and both her sons died of lung cancer. They were all very heavy smokers, and she blamed herself. And she had no hope that she could have any life because she'd lost her husband and 2 children. And she was maybe in her late 60s. When I worked with her, she began to see that it wasn't her fault. She couldn't have kept her husband and sons alive. She tried, but they made decisions. And so she began to see that she could use something from that. She actually trained with me, became a therapist. And one of the things she specializes in is stopping people smoking because it's so important to her. And she uses the story of her husband and her 2 sons to help people realize that if you are a chain smoker, a heavy smoker, you're not really going to go to a good place. You have to stop. And it isn't just what you're doing to you, it's what you're doing to your family, your partner, your children. So you might say, well, what does that all mean? Well, she couldn't change that tragedy of losing her husband and both her children, but she managed to change what it meant to her. And I've seen many people who said, that happened to me. I lost something important and I learned to fight back. I was assaulted. It was terrible, but I went into the business of helping people. One of the girls on our training course said her teacher said to her, wow, the brains ran out when they got to you, didn't they? And she thought, I'm going to be a teacher because I'm never going to let any child going through my education system hear that again. And, for me, I had a situation, people think I've had a charmed life. Well, I almost have, but I had a situation, gosh, I don't even know how many, it must have been at least 16 years ago, where I lost a baby. And then the person I was with left me because he couldn't deal with the fact that we'd lost this baby. And then I got fired from a television job I had that I loved. It was a lot of loss, a baby, a partner, and a career that I loved. One part of my career, but it was being on this television show that I loved. And I could have said, wow, this is terrible. I've never, ever had depression in my life. But that event where I lost 3 things, like a domino thing, I thought, gosh, I know what depression is like. And I've never had that before. And now I feel really more equipped to deal with clients who have depression, because I know they're going to wake up in the morning and the first thing you think is, oh my God, I've got to think again about the baby, the boy, the job. But I decided to help other people that felt like that. And that's when I wrote one of my books, Trying to Get Pregnant and Succeeding, because I felt so, when you're depressed, you go so in yourself. And the last thing you want to do is go shopping or go out. So I thought, well, I'm at home, I'm feeling a bit lost, let me write this book. And now I look back and I don't regret any of that. It's hard to say I don't regret losing that baby, but actually I'm married to my wonderful husband. I can now see that just wasn't meant to be. If that had all worked out, my life would have gone in a different direction. I'm glad it didn't go in that direction. So the hope I had that while I'm feeling this low, I could write a book to help other people wasn't false hope, because I look back now, people write to me from all over the world and go, hey, I had a baby thanks to that book. I had been having 8 rounds of IVF. I happened to be in New York and this girl rang me and said, hey, I heard you're in New York. Please, please, please do a session. I've just read your book. Trying to have a baby for 12 years. She came along, I did one session. She was pregnant a month later. She's now got 2 children. And so I feel that I had to go through that pain to get to a level of understanding to help others. But that hope wasn't false hope. I knew when I wrote that book that it was taking me in a better direction. And we can all do that no matter how bad it is. We'll say, yeah, I was in this awful situation. But later I thought, well, I can't change it, but can I use it? Can I do something about it? And many people use that to totally change their career. And that's a wonderful thing. So your words shape your reality. If you don't like your reality, it's really time to change it. Don't like your reality. Your words create it, change them. The way you feel about everything is down to the pictures you make, but even more the words you speak. And you can start to change the words you speak. I'll give you an example. My little girl came home one day and said, Mummy, how does Claire get on the ceiling? I'm like, what do you mean? Because I don't understand how Claire is on the ceiling. And Claire was her friend's mum. And she said, because she's always saying she's going to go up the wall. Now I met Claire. Claire was super stressed. I said, Claire, when you keep using this, if you get peanut butter on the fridge, I'll go up the wall. If you get crayon on the carpet, I'll go up the wall. You're actually future pacing. What you're saying is, if you do the things that normal kids do, I will lose my mind and go up the wall. And when I had a little girl, nobody loved having a baby more than me, because I was could never, ever, ever have children. Ever. It wasn't possible. I couldn't get pregnant. And if I did, I would never carry one. But I did. And I noticed a lot of my friends, they say things like, oh, my baby's killing me. Oh, I'm going insane with tiredness. Oh, this is so stressful. I noticed myself occasionally saying, oh, this is stressful. And I thought, no, it's not. This is my dream come true. I had given anything to have a baby. So I started to say, my baby is acting age appropriate. I never said, oh, they're a nightmare and they're so difficult. They drive you crazy. You lose your mind. I said, no, they're age appropriate. My daughter was running on the beach once with my friend and her daughter, who appeared to be the most perfect kid in the world. And she kept saying to me, why is your kid so bad? I'm like, she's not bad. She's age appropriate. I shout at her to stop. She's like a little puppy. She doesn't stop once, she doesn't stop twice, but she does stop on the third time. She is acting age appropriate. She's not bad. I never say bad. And my friend who had a perfect kid, turned out later her kid was so introverted. She said, oh, I wish she was like yours and had a bit of character and could fight back. But my daughter's introverted and she's very passive and almost too obedient. And I dread the day she starts to date. I'm like, yeah, well, my daughter, I don't dread it because she's got an opinion and she fights back and she's not super compliant. And believe me, you don't want a super compliant child, especially a girl, because you don't want to go out with some idiot when they're 14 and be super compliant. He says, hey, take drugs, let's go shoplifting, let's have sex. So you have to always change something around. You've got a difficult, argumentative kid. That's how they learn to have an opinion and protect themselves. And so everything is down to the pictures you make in your head. Imagine this. Imagine you go to a fun fair and you look at one of those things swirling around, like maybe the Big Dipper, and people are screaming, literally screaming. You would never be able to go, well, they're screaming because they're terrified or they're screaming because they're excited. It's actually both. And if you don't know, believe me, your mind doesn't even go, I'm terrified, my stomach's dropped, because I'm excited, because the feeling is the same. My fingers are tingling, adrenaline's going through me. I've worked with many, many, many rock stars. I've been working with the Eagles once, and I asked them what it was like to go on stage. I asked that question to Eric Clapton. They both said the same thing, where your fingers tingle, you feel the adrenaline, you go on stage. It's the best feeling in the world. But actually describing a panic attack is the same. My fingers tingle, my heart rate goes up, adrenaline pumps me. I'm having a panic attack. I'm feeling amazing. Even the feeling when you have an orgasm, that buildup of tension and the feeling that you can't control it is actually an amazing feeling. So it's not the feeling, it's how you feel about the feeling. And when you change the words and go, I love this, this is excitement, this is amazing, or something simple. Hey, I'm in a long marriage. We conflict about things, but that's good because it's exciting. We have opinions. We're staying together. Whatever, my boss challenges me. Well, that's good that he challenges you. A lot of people I know who are sellers say, I love the difficult clients. The difficult ones are the ones that really grow me. When I have a difficult customer and I'm going to sell them my product, I'm so grateful, because if I can sell to the difficult ones, I can always sell to the easy ones, and the difficult ones each time teach me. I've had clients come and go, I don't like your perfume. I don't like that candle you're burning. I don't like that. And they've taught me a lot. Oh, okay, I shouldn't have those because some people don't like it. I don't like that music on your audio. I just want no music. So difficult people teach us how to be even better than we already are. So tell yourself that they're my teachers, and then you won't feel, oh, I can't get this right. But more than anything, look at the words you are filling your mind up with that are shaping your reality. And if you don't like your reality, change your words, because it really is an absolute game changer.
So what is hypnosis? Well, let me tell you what it is not. It is not a state of sleep. It's not a state of being unconscious, and it's definitely not a state of being under someone's control. People are very scared. They watch a movie where someone clicks their fingers or waves a watch and that person barks like a dog or runs around like a chicken. Maybe you've seen that movie Get Out, but these are movies, it's not real. You see, hypnosis is actually a sleep of the nervous system, and I love hypnosis. It doesn't send you to sleep, but it wakes you up to your power, your potential, and even your greatness. So the most important thing to understand about hypnosis is that you have a critical factor in your mind. And let's imagine you said, hey, tomorrow I'm going to go and give a talk. I'm going to give a talk in my local community about something I'm passionate about. And the critical factor goes, no, you're not. You can't speak in public. You're going to go bright red. You'll forget what to say. Hey, I'm going to go riding a horse. But the critical factor says, oh, you might fall, might not work. And you see, we all have our conscious mind. We think, I want to do this. I'd love to do that. I'm going to go on a diet today. and just live on salad. The mind goes, who are you trying to kid? You've been on a diet for 20 years. You know you can't resist cake. So that's the critical factor. And the brilliant thing about hypnosis, it shuts down. It shuts down. So I can tell someone in hypnosis, you are an amazing speaker. You remember everything. You're word perfect. You're so good. I can say, hey, you've totally forgotten about smoking. You're indifferent to cakes. Instead of the little voice going, yeah, who are you trying to kid? It goes, wow, yes, I can do this. So your own critical voice shuts down. And what was your internal critic becomes your cheerleader. Hey, of course you can do it. Of course you can give a speech. Of course you can live without donuts. Of course you can find the love of your life because you're deeply lovable. And when you can learn to shut down the inner critic and to turn on the inner cheerleader, wow, it's a game changer. Now, there are some people who are more hypnotizable than other people. 1 in 10 people, 10% of people, are deeply hypnotizable. They're the people you see at a stage show, put up their hand, run on the stage, volunteer, and lo and behold, suddenly they're falling madly in love with a fire hydrant. They're falling madly in love with a broom, and we're all in the audience laughing, going, oh, I would never go there. You see, that 10% of the population, they tend to be actors. They tend to be in the creative field. If you are creative, you are highly suggestible. If you're creative, you are highly receptive to suggestions. Imagine saying to someone like Anthony Hopkins, hey, Tony, can you play a psychopath? Oh, yes, I can even play that when I put my makeup on, and I can really do it so well. Because someone who is suggestible takes in suggestions. This will work, this won't work. Ask someone like Amy Winehouse to write a song about pain. She could knock out Back to Black in 10 minutes because she had that great ability to feel it and to put it on the page. Decorators, designers, artists, singers, performers, painters, anyone creative is suggestible. Some people hate that word, but it just means that you are very good at picking up suggestions. It means you're receptive. If you say to an artist, an actor, a singer, show me pain, they can do that. If you go, you know, it wasn't really very good, they go, no, I know. But they might go, oh, it was amazing. So it can be a two-edged sword, being highly suggestible, because what that means is you can be receptive to all kinds of suggestions. And the beauty about hypnosis, it teaches you to let in great suggestions, to give yourself amazing suggestions, and to block out, to remove negative ones. And that's one of the things I love about hypnosis the most. It changes I can't to I can. That will never work to I'll make it work. I could do that, but I'm doing it right now. So when I work with actors, I always say, look, you're a very suggestible, creative person. And that's a good thing. The issue is not your mind, it's what you tell it. That will never work out. I'm really nervous about that. I'm terrified about this new part. I worked with an actress once who said, hey, I've just got the leading role in a movie and I'm terrified. I'm like, no, that's not terrifying. It's exciting. When you change the word terror, fear, scared to exciting, ready, on fire, then the mind accepts that. And you may not be one of the 10% of people that are really suggestible, really receptive to suggestions. It doesn't matter. You can still give yourself powerful, amazing suggestions. Personally, I would never put my hand up and go on stage at a hypnotic show, and I've been to many. I'm not sure it would even work for me on that stage. But even if I'm not that 10%, my life is giving myself amazing suggestions, great suggestions, powerful suggestions. I gave birth to my baby using hypnosis, and it was an amazing experience. I've had dental work and surgery using hypnosis. And even if you don't want to do that, you can use hypnosis to recover. You can use it for anything. You can use it to turn fear into excitement or passion. You can use it to always sleep. I was taking a flight to Oman, and the woman, when we landed opposite me, said, I noticed that you went to sleep the minute that plane took off and you woke up when it landed. That's amazing. I said, it's not amazing. It's hypnosis. I hypnotize myself to sleep. Wherever I am, I never get jet lag. I get an odd cold, but I hypnotize myself out of that too. And in fact, everything I have in my life, and I have a lot, is down to hypnosis. I was told I would never get pregnant or carry a baby to full term. I used hypnosis to reverse that. I've had some encounters with illnesses, and I've used hypnosis to reverse that too. And when I speak on stage, when I sit and write books, knowing that somebody might hate them, I use hypnosis to deal with that too. Anyone can be hypnotized, anyone at all. And being hypnotized just means going into an alpha or a delta brainwave. And the best way to get hypnotized is to look up, keep your eyeballs up, and keeping your eyeballs up, close the lids down. You know, when we have children, we know they're going to sleep when they start to roll up their eyes. I've hypnotized my cats because I stroke them like that till they roll up their eyes. I speak them in a hypnotic voice, and they go into a trance. But in that trance, people say, well, you can make me do anything. So going into hypnosis is easy. You do that every day. People aren't worried about going into hypnosis. They're worried about what will happen. What if I never come out? I heard about people never coming out. Where are these people who've never come out of hypnosis? They're not downtown in a warehouse somewhere. And by the way, if you could be made to do what you don't want to do, every hypnotist in the world would be a multi-millionaire, because we could say, hey, just stick 2 zeros on the check, just put me in your will. Clients send me flowers and candles and hampers. No one has ever sent me a Porsche. No one has ever sent me a Mercedes. Do you think I could say to my really rich clients when I'm hypnotizing, hey, you're so impressed with me, I would love a Porsche Carrera? I couldn't say that. And if I did, the client would not pick it up. I love the flowers. I love the baskets they send me, the cards, but no one has ever sent me a Ferrari, and they never will, because I couldn't possibly suggest that. So remember, you may know a local hypnotist doing quite well, but if we were all that suggestible, they'd be multimillionaires by now. So I want you to understand that a hypnotist will give you amazing suggestions, but you hear what they say. I was working with a client one day who wanted to drop 80 pounds. And for some reason I said 80 kilos. They went, no, not 80 kilos, 80 pounds. They corrected me even though they were in hypnosis because they weren't asleep. They could take everything in. When I'm working with clients, they answer my questions because you're not asleep. So if you want to really be more hypnotized, well, here's what you do. First of all, make sure that you're in the right place. Phone off, a little sticker on the door saying don't ring the bell. Make sure you can be reasonably relaxed, but the hypnosis will relax you more. And then decide, I want this. I've chosen this, and I've chosen to feel great about it. That is my magic expression I use for everything. I've chosen this. I've chosen to feel great about it. I want it. I'm ready. I want it. Bring it on. And remember, you're not going to be unconscious. You're not going to be asleep. You're going to be super relaxed and really chilled. But hypnosis will not send you to sleep. It will wake you up to your excellence. And while the hypnosis is happening, you can start to go, hey, I'm letting this in. This is going in. I'm loving this. The mind learns by repetition. The first time you might go, well, I didn't really feel anything, and I was thinking about what I'm going to eat for lunch. But when you do it again and again, your mind goes, oh, you're doing that hypnosis stuff. You do that for 10 minutes a day. I kind of like it. You're very relaxed, and there's nothing to worry about. I've made this familiar. Remember, we resist what is unfamiliar and return to what is familiar. And by playing a hypnotic audio every day, you will make it familiar. You'll like it, and all the fears and resistance will become completely unfamiliar. And then you can hypnotize yourself, even when you're on a train, a bus, going to the dentist. Check out my next video here.
Your mind doesn't care if what you tell it is good or bad, right or wrong, healthy or unhealthy. It just believes it. So who likes to have proof that everything I'm saying is true? Stand up and let's have a little bit of proof.